I haven't seen the new Avatar that's come out on Netflix yet. But with people talking about Avatar again, I'm starting to see a lot of people, bring up old talking points, which was Korra's bad or Korra was a bad Avatar. And this is just one take I've never been able to agree with because I thought Korra was pretty good, both as a series and as an Avatar. So let me take this video to explain to you why I think Korra is not a bad Avatar and why you should probably stop thinking she is too. Now, the first point of contention when it comes to Korra is a lot of people say that she fumbled the bag on a lot of her villains. Like, she wasn't able to beat a lot of her villains by herself, which makes her look weak as an Avatar. But to that, I gotta ask you, what other Avatar in the history of Avatars had to deal with the same things Korra had to deal with? Never mind that all of Team Avatar got beat in broad daylight by Yakon, Amon's father, and he had to go Avatar state just to beat this man. This is like a 40-year-old Aang, very experienced. And then Korra has to deal with that dude's son, who's an even better bloodbender than he is, and he can bloodbend with his mind. He ain't gotta do no hand motions. Like, this is the single deadliest bender in all of Avatar history. Like, Aang couldn't even offer any real advice on what to do to beat this man. He could just show flashbacks and be like, I hope you figure it out. So getting beat by Amon and then having to win using airbending without using the Avatar state should not be looked at as like her being weak in any capacity. She didn't use the Avatar state to deal with this situation the same way Aang did. And the situation Aang was in was an easier situation to deal with. And this is just one of her villains. Which leads into the next villain and the next thing that I always hear people talk about when it comes to Korra that I just don't agree with. They really blame Korra for losing the past lives in her fight against Unalaq, as if Unalaq isn't the first dark avatar the universe has ever seen. Like, when Unalaq whipped all of the past lives out of Korra, he already had Vaatu inside of him. He had the powers of an avatar. Like, I need y'all to understand, none of the past lives have any experience fighting another avatar. Roku couldn't even stop a volcano by himself. What do you think he's doing against a dark avatar? Aang almost got packed up by Yakon. What do you think he's doing against Unalaq? However bad you think Korra did versus this guy, I promise you, every other avatar with the exception of maybe one would do way worse. Like, fighting him as the dark avatar is not the same as just fighting Vaatu, because when she was fighting Vaatu, she beat him clean. She ain't take no damage. Which is why they had to do this unholy fusion in the first place, because individually they couldn't touch her. And the fact that she was able to take him down even with help shows that she's an amazing avatar, because this came out of the blue. No past life could prepare her for dealing with this. Wan's past life was able to help her deal with Vaatu, but this was all you need. She had to figure out how to deal with this on the fly. Next big villain is Zahir, and I don't think I need to say too much about this. Despite being the overall weakest of the villains that Korra's had to deal with, I think everybody at least understands that this dude with the Red Lotus is a huge threat, and Korra struggling to deal with him was very well warranted. People say it's more understandable for her to struggle as much as she did versus him than it was for her fighting the Dark Avatar, and that just don't even make sense to me. But even though she needed help to take down Zahir with the Avatar state, it's because she was poisoned. Was she going to die if Jinora didn't pull up with the help? Sure, yes, but you also know what? For the people that like to clown on Korra, her almost dying to Zahir can't possibly be worse than Aang actually dying versus Azula. I know Nickelodeon couldn't really say the word because, it's Nickelodeon, but he died. She needed to use the Spirit Oasis water to bring him back. And then people will say, oh, but he was just a 12-year-old boy. Okay, and Azula was a 14-year-old girl. Meanwhile, Korra is an 18-year-old woman, and Zahir and his posse are just full grown-ass adults. So let's not play the age card. They were both dealing with insurmountable threats in that point in time, but Korra had it way worse. Let's just keep it a buck. And then the final villain, and possibly one of my favorite villains in all of Avatar, Kuvira. Now, obviously, any struggle Korra had with her can kind of be hand-waved because Korra was going through PTSD. She still had mercury poisoning. Like, I can forgive her for losing this fight despite the PTSD and mercury poisoning, because when we did see Kuvira in action, she was absolutely disgusting. How do you fight Toph's daughter and not take any damage in the encounter? Despite all the experience Toph gained in her old age, she even admitted, like, yeah, I can't beat Kuvira. It's gonna be up to you to do it. Like, as far as just raw bending ability goes, skill goes, I would say she is probably the most skilled bender in the series, tied with, if not a little bit ahead of, Azula. And then to top it all off, she made a whole platinum mech, so it cannot be interacted with anybody's bending, even the avatars. And it is powered with spirit energy that can shoot beams just like the spirit of darkness Vaatu. Again, this is a cataclysmic threat that no avatar has ever had to deal with. Even if she had the past lives, they'd have all been shrugging shoulders. You try to ask Kyoshi how to deal with this. It's made out of platinum. She's like, what's a platinum? You're screwed. This took teamwork to bring down because ain't nobody doing this on their own. But then when Korra didn't have any mercury in her system and she also got over her PTSD and then she fought Kuvira in the 1v1 with no avatar state, she cooked her. Absolutely cooked her. They were pretty even for a minute, but remember, this chick was able to keep up with Toph Beifong's children. She's nice like that. And then by the end of it all, Korra just saved her life because she's been through the ringer. She's seen all this stuff. She sees Kuvira has a good amount in common with her, so she just doesn't want to take her out. She wants to see her do better. Mind you, all of this happened in like 3-4 years of her being an Avatar. And I'm pretty sure no other Avatar can do all of what she did in her lifetime, which is why the series is called The Legend of Korra. She's a legend for doing this. Now, were some of the story elements revolving around her, Mako, Asami kind of messy and could have been done better? Sure. Was Bolin a little too heavy on the comic relief and kind of didn't have enough substance as a character? 100%. Did Korra and Asami have the build-up that they needed to become a couple by the end of the series? Not really, but at the same time, I never said it was a perfect series. It has its issues, as the series would when you weren't intending to make 4 seasons, but you ended up with 4 seasons. Season 1 didn't know Season 2 existed, Season 2 didn't know 3 existed, and once we got to 3 knew that 4 was about to come afterward. That's why 3 to 4 seemed very cohesive. At least if I'm remembering things correctly, Season 2 did not know Season 3 was going to be coming out later. But the point is, Korra was broken up into 4 different seasons, which kind of makes it so that, each season needs to end, so some things end up seeming kind of rushed. Whereas Last Airbender was just a 50-episode journey that we were able to start from beginning to end, with the entire plan in mind. So if you want to argue that Last Airbender is a better series than Korra, 100% go ahead and do that. The evidence is in the pudding. Just because one can be a better series to you does not mean that Korra is a bad Avatar or she didn't do work. She did a lot of work. And I just think it's time people start to respect her for the GOAT that she really is.